Today, President Trump signs an executive order effectively banning TikTok in 45 days. Joe Biden gives a non-apology for his racist remarks. And DeBlasio and Cuomo at odds over New Yorkers returning to the city. I have a feeling at least one of our panelists will have a little bit to say on Andrew Cuomo. We've got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Happy Friday. I am Sarah Gonzalez. Today joined by, again, the gang is back in town. It's Pat and Stu Day. So Stu Bergier of Stu Does America, Pat Gray of Pat Gray Unleashed. Back. I mean, we got to give the people what they want.
Yes, I totally agree. In fact, on Stu Does America, I have a guest, Pat Gray, on today. So,
really?
I mean, it's a big party.
It's a Pat and Stu
Day.
It's a
big day. It's a big day.
We're excited.
Oh, one for the ages. Let's get into the headlines of the day. So President Trump signed executive orders yesterday that will prohibit U.S. transactions with technology giants from China, Tencent and ByteDance, who own the TikTok app. Now, obviously, the executive order escalates the already tense tech war between the United States and China. I know there was a lot of back and forth. When was it? Last week, when they talked about, he said he would be fine with Microsoft acquiring them in the United States as long as that happened by a certain date. But he has gone ahead and signed the executive order, which says the spread in the United States of mobile applications developed and owned by companies in the People's Republic of China continues to threaten the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. The order did not stipulate which penalties would be levied out to any person or company that violates it, shockingly enough. So we have no idea what the ramifications would be if you went against it. But we are 45 days out from this going into place. Stu, what are your thoughts on this?
First things first, I would totally fine with banning TikTok because it sucks.
Like for reasons outside of national security,
nothing to do
right?
with national security.
Yeah.
In fact, I would make a deal with China and say you can spy more if you get rid of TikTok. I just hate it.
Wow.
I don't want to see any more people lip sync to the Kardashians. I can't contemplate a civilization that thinks that's good.
That's
By
fair.
the way, my wife loves it.
She's really great on it too, by the way.
So please don't. If
she's a great follow on TikTok.
Yeah, she is. I mean, it's funny with the kids, and she does some funny stuff. But it's like, generally speaking, this should not be taking over our society. So you want to spy more? Fine, just get rid of the lip syncing. Beyond that, though, I don't think I live in a country where the president can write an executive order banning an app. I don't know where that country. Look, I understand the battle with China. I am on the president's side of that battle. I think China is a really bad thing and a really bad influence on our economy, and in certain ways, some ways not so much, but. When it comes to a national security situation, there is a major issue going on with China. That being said, I don't even know if I'd be fully comfortable with a law that was passed that said this one app needs to go away. Like, that's not how our country works. I guess if you're saying, their big case is basically that it's spying. There's mixed evidence to that, as far as I understand it at this point, in that, lots of apps spy. They all spy. The reason why you have free apps on your phone is largely because they spy. Note, Blaze is a subscription product. But when you get a free app, you're usually the product, right? That's the way it usually goes. So they take lots of your information. China is a bad actor, so I can understand why we would be suspicious of this, and I can understand the 5G stuff that we go through. But when we're talking about a social media app, it may be the right thing to do. I don't know that it's a good precedent to set, and I think we may want to examine this one a little bit further, even though it does something very good, which is get TikTok out of my face.
Pat.
Well,
hold on. I think you're really active on TikTok, though.
Oh, Mr. TikTok.
That's the thing. They call me Mr. TikTok. They do. Because I can't get enough of it. This is the opposite of Stu.
Really?
I can't get enough of it.
Oh, okay. So this is really upsetting you.
Yeah, very. I've been crying over this ever since the announcement was made. It's completely unconstitutional. And I hate TikTok so much, I've not even been on it.
I've never actually been on it either.
I've never been on it. I don't know if I have a TikTok thing? I don't think I do.
I doubt. Something tells me you do not.
When you
have a
say it
TikTok
like that,
thing.
I
you
think
don't
I
have
have an Instagram thing, but I've never been there either. So
Right.
I can't even get you to respond to a text. Let alone get you on TikTok.
Yes, I am heavily into all forms of communication. Heavily. Texting, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebooking. You can't stop me from Facebooking all day long. Like, I'm always on my phone. That's the thing about me. So it doesn't really affect my life, but it is, it's unconstitutional. He can't be doing this. The President of the United States, as Stu said, doesn't have the ability, the power to ban apps.
Yeah.
He can't.
So he's invoking, just for discussion purposes, he's invoking the International Emergency Economic Powers Act and the National Emergencies Act in order to ban it. Now, just to play devil's advocate here, what do you do if you're president and you genuinely think, hey, this could be a security threat? We've got this Chinese app and they're potentially getting our users' data and they're giving it to the Chinese government, and that could be really bad because we're already at war with them. Like, how do you go about solving that problem if you're not allowed to do this?
Well, I think stepping back here, talking generally for a second, if you have something like this, you want to take an action that's obviously against the fundamental setup of the United States, right? Like we want to encourage people to come invest here and create new products and bring them here. Mm-hmm. And we would be pissed if we had created something awesome and it went over and started doing really well in China and they just shut it down because the Chinese government was like, screw you. That's what the Chinese government does. So I don't want to emulate the Chinese government. If there's a real risk here, like, 5G is seemingly a much smarter sort of like, TikTok, again, our private information is in 100 apps. That data is sold to all sorts of data firms who sell it easily, could be selling it to the Chinese government. Like, what they're going to get out of TikTok, other than just terrible lip syncing on Kardashian clips, I don't know what else they're going to get from this. I mean, they could even get location data, right? But that location data is even available to thousands of sources. Mm-hmm. We all know this stuff it's not a good thing inherently, but it's already in a million places. But it should be a deliberate process. It should not be one day the president wakes up and he either doesn't like a headline or just is pissed off at China over an unrelated thing we're not even seeing, and it's just like, well, screw you guys, I'm banning TikTok. But if this company buys it, then it's okay. I mean, think of how we could manipulate these companies and markets. We could just say, every time a foreign company came in here and built up a business, we could say, you know what, you're banned unless you sell it to my friend, right, or an American company. That might make us feel good from a nationalist perspective, but it's not the right thing to do. I think if you have to do this and it really is a threat, then you need to go through a very deliberate process, which probably involves getting Congress in the picture. And I know they don't like that, but I think you have to have multiple steps because when some conservative app comes out later on, the next president, Joe Biden will be asleep, but a president that was awake might ban all the stuff that we like too, although it won't be as dumb as TikTok.
We have a much worse problem with Chinese spying in corporations, being on the inside of corporations, being on the inside of major universities, doing research, stealing our secrets that way. And maybe that's what we should concentrate on and focus on ending rather than TikTok, because I don't know what they're going to get from that.
And to that point, and in the president's defense a little bit here, there is a much larger thing going on here. It's not TikTok. TikTok is just the thing we all know, right? Like, so it's an extension of Chinese, commerce. But we have a real battle going on with them at a million different levels that we're not seeing than the president is. My guess is the president wants to get people engaged in that battle. He wants his people to rise up and say, screw you, because he's on the side that's been being tough on China. And the only way you can't do it with even 5G, right? Like, people no one knows what that is. No one's using it. That's just not a thing that people relate to. TikTok, they do. The other part of this is, you always have to watch what Donald Trump does, not what he says. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's an executive order here that's supposed to go in 45 days. In 46 days, do you guys believe you'll be able to get TikTok on your phone? My guess is you will.
Yes.
You know, Trump says a lot of stuff to get a lot of different reactions. He may very well be using this as a threat to the Chinese government.
He's a negotiator.
Exactly. He may very well know and been told by lots of people that every court in America is going to throw out an executive order that just bans a random app. However, does it put pressure on China? Yes. So that may very well be what he's going for here.
Yeah, Pat, how much truth do you think there is to the people saying that he just wants to ban it because he's mad that there were a bunch of TikTok people who, trolled him with his rally? He's just mad that happened.
You have to ban a lot more than TikTok if that's his goal. There's a lot of people trolling him everywhere. I don't think that's part of it. Frankly.
No, I mean, I do love your point, though, about, if you really want to crack down on China, there are a lot of other places to go if you want to do that. I would also love to see what other Chinese apps that were, like, specifically Chinese, not just American, but American run and could sell our information to the Chinese, just already Chinese apps that we have that we just don't even pay attention to.
Yeah, there's tons, right?
I
can't list them all. I know WeChat was part of this too, right? I think WeChat was part of this, the same company.
Yes.
WeChat, Chinese company.
I don't even know what that is.
That's like another,
WhatsApp or something.
People call Pat
I'm sorry,
WeChat.
Pat. I should ask you what
he's the tech guy
what the
here.
WeChat is. Sorry, I didn't mean to be offensive.
Well, I'll let since Stu's already on it.
Halfway down this road.
Yeah.
It's another chat app. I want to say it's WhatsApp. I mean, that's a guess. I have really no idea. It's essentially like WhatsApp or whatever. It's another chat.
And it's from Tencent or whatever, right?
Tencent, same company. Yeah. Again, like I want to delete all these apps from my phone because not because of spying, because I hate them. So I really don't know all the details here. But I mean, I know it's a big service. And then, look, there's tons of companies that do business with China, and that's all you need, right? Like it doesn't need to be, because the place is set up in China, or it's a quote unquote Chinese company. What does that mean anymore, right? Like there's branches of it all over the world. If you have a British company that also does business with China, guess where your data is going? Right. It doesn't really matter. This is more of a bigger argument about China that I think, the same way that Trump does all the time, he makes a big headline argument to draw your attention to the more important thing that kind of is sitting behind the scenes.
I agree with Stu. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if, like, teenagers in America had maybe something else to do, like, I don't know, go outside.
My wife is not a teenager.
Well, no, she's not her.
Constantly on it all the time.
But she's allowed to because she's an adult.
Yeah, okay. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, when we come back, Joe Biden blasted for his non-apology for some pretty racist remarks we talked about yesterday. First, we want to thank our sponsor, ScoreMaster, which was created by credit data scientists. Now, you use it in order to raise your credit score. The average ScoreMaster user raises it 61 points in 20 days or less.
I'm going to do this soon.
Seriously, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You're not talking about a couple points. That's huge.
Yep. One of my listeners raised theirs 182 points in less than a month.
Stop.
182 points.
That's insane.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
It's amazing.
I don't know what more proof the audience needs that this is a legit thing. Like, you've got listeners who are calling in and writing in and saying this works.
Yeah, and it's reverse engineered the credit score thing. So they know exactly how to do it. Yeah. So they're kind of like way ahead of the game.
Apparently. Yeah. So especially right now, maybe you've been late on a couple bills. We've got, I don't know if you've heard, but there's like this little pandemic going on that's put a lot of people out of work. Have you?
Yeah, it's been in the news.
Really?
Yeah, the news has covered it.
I thought it was just us.
Why haven't I heard about this?
I thought it was just
probably on WeChat again.
Oh, that's probably right. Yeah.
But if you need to add some points to your credit score fast, you can do it with ScoreMaster. Maybe you're getting a home loan. Maybe you're buying a car. Maybe you're looking at the interest rates right now and you want to refinance. Even if you're getting a job, you can have the power instead of the banks. They will put you in control. You can enroll in just minutes. See how many plus points you can add to your credit score. You can go to ScoreMaster.com/news. That is ScoreMaster.com/news. Back in a minute. Joe Biden, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, in case you were wondering, who Joe Biden was. I'm sure there are a lot of you out there who are like, Joe Biden, who's that? Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden issued I don't know, I guess it was supposed to be an apology. I'll get your feedback on whether or not you think it was an apology or not. But he issued a statement clarifying his remarks yesterday about African Americans and Latinos actually being diverse in thought, unlike those black people over there. Here is what Joe Biden had to say yesterday as a refresher.
What you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Unlike the blacks who think the same way on every single issue. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. All blacks think alike.
You Latinos are way more diverse than those black people, man.
That is crazy.
So, is that true, Sarah? Or
can confirm.
You can, okay.
Totally.
I wasn't sure. I mean, he sounded very convincing there. Like he was really sure of it.
And you all know this.
Yeah.
No, I actually, I didn't.
I didn't either. And as I look at the clip that you just played, the courtesy says the national, what is it? The National Hispanic Journalists and the National Association of Black Journalists.
Yes.
So like he's saying to the black journalists, he's saying, hey guys, you guys know you guys all have the same opinion, but Hispanics don't.
Yes.
And this is very similar to what he said about if you're black and or if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
You're not black.
Yep. I mean, so that's also a no diversity of thought statement. So he obviously feels that way. He's said it multiple times. He also happened to say that, I think, twice yesterday before he started backtracking on it.
Really?
Yeah, he said it twice, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the guy really believes it. I mean, he believes it.
He believes what, though? Like, I don't even understand. What
blacks all think alike. He believes it. He's saying it over and over and over again. I'm starting to believe him. That he believes it anyway. I don't believe that blacks all think alike, but I believe him that he thinks they do.
You can only say it so many times before it's not just a slip of the tongue.
It's not a slip of the tongue in any way.
What is he going for, though? Like,
that's what we were trying to figure out on my show this morning. I tried to come up with a thing for him, a way out. There is no way out of that.
No, I mean,
there's no way out, and he didn't give one either.
No, his apology was just
when he just said, "Well, that's not what I said." Well, what did you say? Something else. I said something else. That wasn't it. Oh, okay.
So he tweeted out. It was a non-apology. I guess it was supposed to be a clarification, but it doesn't make much sense. He said, earlier today, I made some comments about diversity in the African American and Latino communities that I want to clarify. In no way did I mean to suggest the African American community is a monolith. A monolith, not by identity, not on issues, not at all.
No, that's not clarifying that statement. That's just changing it.
Right, because he literally made it a point to say, with notable exceptions.
Right.
Other than them, everyone else is the same. So I don't know how you walk your way out of that one.
Yeah, I mean, usually you can kind of tell what he's going for, right? Like there's a point and he's butchering it, right? This one, I don't understand it. Does he think all black people come from the same country? Like, what does he think? I really don't understand.
I don't know. There's no way out of it, though.
The only thing I could come up with, and this is a really bad, a terrible example, because I don't think this is what he meant. But like the argument that like African Americans vote. I mean, you want to say a monolith? And I think it's 2008, they voted 96% for Barack Obama. So, like, maybe he's saying there's a bigger split among Latino voters. They don't always just vote for Democrats. It is consistent with his view of if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So maybe he just believes that, like, the black vote, I've locked it up. I never have to worry about them again. And with the notable exceptions, you know, that one black guy with a Trump hat on. But other than that, you know, they're all going to vote for me. Latinos, though, like 20-25% might vote for the Republican. Was that what he was going for? I mean, I'm reaching because I don't think that's what he was saying.
It's a generous telling of what he said.
I'm guessing. I really don't understand.
I don't know. It might be, but I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think it was that complicated.
There is an element, though, of Joe Biden, which, and I think this part is real, is he absolutely takes African American voters for granted.
Absolutely,
yes.
he does.
100%.
All Democrats do, but especially Joe Biden.
You know, and look, you could understand it from his perspective. He got 96% of the vote when he ran with Barack Obama in 2008. I mean, it was above 90.
He does really well with him now.
2012, and he won the primary because of South Carolina, black voters almost entirely, that put him out of his doldrums of the terrible beginning of the campaign to win the primary.
He was done
Yeah, he was
until
done.
South Carolina.
So there's an argument
feels like
to
10
be
million
made.
years
It does,
ago.
doesn't it?
It does. It
really does.
I mean, there was a time.
How
where
old
he
were you
looked
in
done.
early 2020? I mean,
I don't know how old I was,
remember.
but Joe Biden was still 107. So I don't know what he is now, but it's older than that.
he's 142 now.
Oh, wow.
It is really interesting, though, I mean, and I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, but it's just so fascinating to watch someone who has such a close connection with, like, real racists in history and has such a long track record of saying really bad racist things.
Totally.
To be able to just take the black community for granted.
Yeah, I mean, I did
when
a
it comes to
show last week, I think it was. Stu does Biden and the KKK, where we went over his eulogy. And we did this a little bit on radio, too. His eulogy for Robert Byrd.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, he honored him.
Unbelievable.
He specifically honored his early years where he worked hard. What was he working hard doing? He was in the KKK. That's what he was
Burning
doing.
crosses.
He was legitimately.
That's hard work, Pat.
And
That
again,
is,
he wasn't
yeah,
just in the
it is.
KKK. He wasn't just a leader of the KKK. He was a KKK recruiter. He was talking people who weren't in the KKK into joining the KKK. And then Joe Biden does a eulogy for the guy. In this environment where we're kicking people off of pancake boxes,
Right.
He's able to skate on eulogizing a KKK member without even mentioning the racism in his life. This guy was a terrible guy, but he turned it around. Like, if you're going to go eulogize a murderer who turned into a great guy, you might say, he was a murderer. He did all these terrible things, but he turned his life around. Biden did none of that. It was all praise for a guy who was in the KKK and said he'd rather have America die than have it turned over to race mongrels. That is not cool. Not okay, should not be winning any percent of the African American vote, in my opinion. And I'm surprised that he's embraced, because you're right, it's not just that, it's a million other racially insensitive and, way over the line comments he's made year after year after year.
Pat, how does he continue to get away with this? Can you imagine for a second if President Trump had made those comments? I mean, he says that we have some criminals coming over across the border, which is true.
Still, he issue 5 years later.
Right, and he can't get past those comments.
And everybody knows what Trump was saying. Trump was saying some of them have been rapists.
Yes.
It was a
Which
true
is
statement.
true.
He just spoke it in perfectly, right?
Right.
It was not well said. Because they're Democrats, I guess. I guess that's why they continue to get away with it, because nobody from the right would ever get away with that. And we see it over and over and over again. They just excuse all racism coming from that side. I mean, I remember when Harry Reid was talking about Barack Obama's Negro dialect. You remember that? And he can use it if he wants to, or not use it if he doesn't want to. And he got away with that too. That was not a problem for him.
Yeah,
they could just say literally whatever they want. Now, if somebody on the right was talking about Negro dialect,
What year? Yeah, I mean,
right.
Biden, in eulogizing Byrd, went back and looked at some of the clips of Byrd, where Byrd is using the N-word on TV in this century.
Yeah.
Like, in the 2000s.
Really bad.
No way.
Yes. He used it multiple times in an apology about being too race-focused. He was like, well, there's white N-words, and there's a lot of white N-words out there. Straight out in an interview.
Over and over.
Yeah.
Like 3 times, I think.
Something tells me he wasn't very
Outrageous.
sorry.
No, he was not. I mean, the guy was racist to the core.
To the core.
Jeez.
To the core.
All right, we've got more coming up. First, we want to thank our sponsor. This segment Keeps. So if you have noticed maybe your hair is not as full as it used to be, it shouldn't be an embarrassing thing, but let's face it. I like to be sexist on this show. And if you're a male, you're not going to go to the doctor. You're just not going to do it.
No.
You could be like on your deathbed, and you're
true.
going to be like, I'm not going to the doctor. I'm fine. I will not go to the doctor for anything. So if you are one of those people, so basically if you're a man, you can try Keeps if you are concerned with a thinning hairline. You can try it from the comfort of your own home, by the way, and they're going to give you the same doctor-recommended FDA-approved hair loss treatment, but the generic version. So it's going to save you about half the cost. You can do it all online. It's 2020. It's very easy. You just answer a couple questions, take a couple pictures of your hair, and a doctor will review it all and recommend the right hair loss treatment for you. Then they ship it directly to your door. So you can be super lazy while you do this as well, which I know Stu is a big advocate of.
I am.
Being super lazy.
It's another male thing.
That is. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. We can get you started right now with a very special deal. You can go to keeps.com/Y, that's WHY, for 50% off of your first order. That is half off right now. It is KEEPS.com/Y. Back in a minute.
Right.
All right. New York City Mayor Bill DeBlasio yesterday suggested that Governor Andrew Cuomo was wrong to call on the wealthy New Yorkers to return to the city amid the coronavirus pandemic and an uptick in crime. Of course, in case you missed it, Andrew Cuomo earlier this week had urged wealthy New Yorkers to return to the city to assist the city with the financial burden caused by the pandemic. So he's like, hey, you 1%ers, we need you to come back, not because we actually care about you, but because we really need your money in taxes, which is, I'm sure, really great to hear if you're someone who's escaped to like the Hamptons or whatever.
Absolutely, I'm sure. It's I mean, it's funny because they've been battling this whole time,
Yes.
Cuomo and DeBlasio.
It's very great to watch.
It is fun to watch. Oddly enough, DeBlasio's actually been right more than Cuomo, which is hilarious because it's hard to be wrong more than Bill DeBlasio. But Cuomo's pulled it off in this.
Everyone has to be good at something.
Yes, exactly. It's funny because, we used to work in New York. We still have tons of friends in New York, and it's like, well, they're all gone. They're all gone. They're all anyone, and it's not wealthy people. It's people who have any ability to leave. Those are the people who have left. And of course, you want to come back? Well, crime's up 7 zillion%. None of the places you want to go are open. Remember, like living in New York is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. You put up with having no yard. You put up with having to deal with taxis and subways. You put up with dealing with the streets being dirty. You put up with dealing with homeless people urinating on you as you walk to work.
You probably have an apartment instead of a house.
Yep, you probably have
a tiny one.
If you go to the suburbs, you can get 4,000 square feet. In New York, you can get 400 square feet. All of these things are sacrificial. Why? Because there's so much great crap to do there, right? It's an amazing place with the best restaurants and the best entertainment. Well, none of that's there right now. You can't go to any of it. So why the hell would you want to go to this island? It doesn't make any sense. So all these people are in their nice houses out on the Hamptons or at their parents' house in Delaware trying to get the heck out of that city because there's no point being there when it's like this. And Cuomo's right. They are all leaving. But thank you for validating the entire Republican economic agenda because you're right. That's what people do. When you give them taxes like this, they leave and they will come back. If you take those taxes away, he's right. They probably will start coming back. But do they want more people coming back to the city right now? I mean, they're in a good spot at this moment. But when people start returning from all over the country, they could easily get another outbreak and have to deal with it all over
Well, I was
again.
told that we should look to New York as like the model, exemplary figure of how to handle the coronavirus. That's what I keep hearing on the
because they got
mainstream
rid of
media.
a lot of their old people that way.
Yeah.
That was really a good
fast,
idea,
too.
wasn't it?
Yeah, really efficient.
If they just like ground them up and turned them into food, they could do a movie based on that.
That's true.
Maybe call it Soylent Green. It's
a good name for a product.
Yeah, they did a great job, didn't they? Like 1/4 of all death in the United States came from New York, and then if you add New Jersey, which got it all from New York, it's like half.
Yeah.
Half of the deaths in the country.
And Connecticut's like
came
4th
from there.
That's what I was going to say. Like you could blame like the entire Northeast.
You could for this whole.
Yeah, you could blame
US
that on
outbreak.
New York. Yeah,
You could.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Outside of China, there's no one else to blame it on.
Right.
I think you can fairly say that this was something that hit us hard. And early on especially, you can give breaks to politicians. They never do that for Donald Trump, of course. But you could do that. You could give breaks all over the place. But if you're going to blame someone, Andrew Cuomo is the one to blame. This is why, you kind of mentioned at the top of the show, I have Andrew Cuomo is awful t-shirts. Why do I have Andrew Cuomo is awful t-shirts? Because he's awful. Why did I make AndrewCuomoisAwful.com? Because he's awful. Okay. Why did I just make ChrisCuomoisWorst.com? The same reason. The whole Cuomo family sucks, and the only way to actually prove that is I also have the masks. The masks you pull up, Can you imagine walking in New York and your friend are walking down and one has the Andrew Cuomo's awful mask and one has the Chris Cuomo's worst mask?
Those are the new BFF bracelets, I think.
Yes.
Like instead of the little heart that's cut in half, those are the new BFF.
That's it. I think you're right. And you could. I keep saying like. You could still wear the Chris Cuomo was worse by itself, even if you don't have the Andrew Cuomo one, because what's he worse than? Well, yes, whatever you're thinking, he's worse than it.
Plus, it's a great conversation starter about just that.
Exactly.
Who is Chris Cuomo worse than? Well, let me tell you about it.
Do you know any people? All those people. What diseases do you know? Those diseases. He's worse than those diseases.
Just kind of in the same vein of taxes, Senator Sanders has proposed a one-time tax that would cost Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk like billions of dollars. Jeff Bezos, $42.8 billion. Elon Musk, $27.5 billion. It is called the Make Billionaires Pay Act, and it would impose a one-time 60% tax on wealth gains. But just the one-time 60%, though.
That's nice.
And why? Why have they not paid the taxes that they owe? If they've paid the taxes that they owe, leave them alone. What are you're doing a retroactive tax because you don't like how much money they make?
Yes. The answer is yes. That's exactly what they're doing.
Marxist, communist, socialist. It's so un-American. It's so unconstitutional. And it's so beneath the United States of America that we look upon these guys who become wildly successful. Why? Because they have products that none of us can live without now. We can't imagine life without Amazon. You can't imagine it. What was life before? I don't know. Did we have life before Amazon?
No.
It's really true, too.
It's amazing. And so is he worth $140 billion? Yeah.
Should he be?
That's what the market allowed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And you know what? As long as I keep getting my 2-day free shipping, Prime delivery.
Right.
Great.
I don't care if he's worth $1 trillion.
He has made my life so much better.
He has.
Can you imagine?
He started in a freaking
Right.
garage.
Can you imagine this pandemic without Amazon? I mean,
no.
And they did do some good with that because they started prioritizing people's essential items. You know, I'd buy something stupid on the internet and they'd be like, well, your shipping may be a little bit delayed because we've got all of these essential items we need to get to people in need right now. So it's not like they're just some big evil corporation that's not doing any good in the world.
No, and
that's not even counting all of the money that he's donated to other causes.
Yeah, look, I mean, other problems at Amazon. Is it perfect? Of course not. But it's a gigantic company. It does overwhelmingly good things. And not to mention all the shows that people were watching during the pandemic on Amazon Prime.
Right.
This is ridiculous. Obviously, Sanders, used to say millionaires and billionaires all the time. Now he only says billionaires because now he's a millionaire. So he no longer can target the millionaires. And Pat, you pointed it out. It's outwardly unconstitutional. The founders specifically pushed back against this type of tax. It would not go. It would be rejected by the Supreme Court, I think.
Should be.
Most legal scholars and constitutional scholars believe
great point.
it would be. This is the Elizabeth Warren pitch during the campaign. This type of tax, you can't do a wealth tax in this country. It's you go back and look at the direct tax.
You can't specifically direct a tax against certain people like that.
And that's even worse, right? Any wealth tax is unconstitutional. Specifically going after a few different people that you don't like is really wrong. And going back to the first conversation we had, it's what makes me uncomfortable about, hey, no, what the heck is the name of it? Well, I was going to say WeChat and TikTok. It's like you shouldn't have. This country was not built to have a guy at the center of the government saying, I don't like that thing, I don't like that thing, I don't like that thing, get rid of it. That's not a good way to go. Sanders has lost multiple times running for president, thankfully, or we'd probably be dealing with a lot more of it. But you can't do that. It's unconstitutional, and at least at this point, we still have a constitution.
Yeah. Can we go back for a second to that picture of Bernie Sanders that we just saw? This guy has no business. No business telling people how much more money they should pay. That is not the guy. That's not the guy that you want. Look at him.
And dude, you're a millionaire now. At least buy a brush or a comb.
Fix your hair.
Something.
Thank you. Thank you.
At least for your eyebrows.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just crazy idea here. What if we just encouraged everyone to buy his book and like make him become a billionaire. And then the billionaire thing would go away too, just like the millionaire thing did.
Yeah, the downside though is good things for him. But he would just go after trillionaires.
Oh.
He would find a way to go after trillionaires
That's
then.
a great point. All right, we've got more to come back in a minute.
You see, they expect Bezos to be a trillionaire by.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi accused PBS NewsHour anchor Judy Woodruff of running cover for congressional Republicans after Woodruff, like, I would say that she challenged Nancy Pelosi, but I think that that's even a little too harsh. She's just like doing her job, which I guess the Democrats are not used to these days. They're used to these softball questions and not being held accountable for literally anything. Here is a little bit of this awkward clip. Watch.
The other point Republicans are making is they are now showing flexibility in money for state and local governments. This is, again, a difference. Democrats want more money. Republicans want a lot less. They are saying they're willing to show flexibility. And they're also saying a lot of the money that was passed in the spring, Madam Speaker, has not even been spent yet.
Well,
so
if you want to be an advocate for them,
there?
Judy, if you want to be an advocate for them, let's know what the facts are.
I'm playing devil's advocate here to ask you for your position.
You know, I mean, the point is we have a bill that meets the needs of the American people. It's called the HEROES Act. They have not even, they don't even want to do state and local, and when they do, it's very meager, and they want to revert to money from before. The money, much of the money that was allocated before has been spent or allocated. A small amount has not, because they want to see what we're doing in this bill.
If you want to be an advocate for them, Julie, you just go right ahead. All right. But we created the HEROES Act because we think that they're heroes. How could you go against that, Judy?
I'd say she looks stunned at that, but she always looks stunned. I don't know.
Permanent stun
She's
face.
surprised at literally everything.
Really,
so
every single question and every single moment. I mean, you know, again, it wasn't even like a normal presentation of a tough question to a Republican. Woodruff is pushing it off on Republicans. Look, this is what Republicans are saying. What do you think? Yeah. Like, she's not even pushing her hard, and she's like knocked off of her feet because someone actually asked a question that's mildly difficult.
How seldom it happens.
It's true.
It almost never happens where
true.
anybody challenges her status quo in her little world. And then she is indignant if you do that. Every single time. I mean, literally every time I've seen it, she does something like that. That you're basically working for the other side if you ask her a tough question. It's amazing.
Well, Joe Biden has kind of done that as well. I know in his gaffes that have come out within the last week. But, it's like the reporter asks him kind of the same thing, just like, hey, this is what people are saying, or hey, are you going to do this? And he's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
What's wrong with you? Don't you know that I'm a Democrat? Like, that's it's like the legit attitude. It's like an attitude of entitlement.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get good treatment here. And now you're saying something, questioning me, and that's not right. They're like legitimately annoyed about it.
I know.
And this is basic. This is your job, right? You're supposed to be able to come out here, especially as a presidential candidate, and answer basic questions about your cognitive abilities.
It just shows how much easier the job of Republicans would be and conservatives if the news media did their job all the time. Wouldn't that be great?
That's true. That's true.
But they do it so seldom that it's like, wow, you just asked if you could sleep with their spouse. That's what it's. No, that's not what I'm asking here.
Right.
So it's amazing how protected they are by the media.
I mean, if she was going to do it to PBS, I wouldn't say PBS is like a CNN of the world, right?
No, but they definitely lean left.
They definitely lean left. You certainly couldn't accuse anything they've done of being biased towards Republicans.
No. No.
I mean,
you could not fairly. But that's also just a tactic, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's just acting as if it's a crazy accusation, so that the people who don't know anything about it assume she's telling the truth, right? The people who like her already will, and like Republicans, of course, do this too, but, the Democrats are experts at it. because it's a fallback position. She has no prepared answer as to why this makes any sense. Republicans came to the table and said, hey, you know what? The whole $600 extra per week, we know that's a problem. Let's just do that. Just let's knock that out. Let's make sure these people are taken care of.
Right.
And they were willing to do just that.
Yeah.
We can deal with the other crap later. Of course, obviously, Democrats just say no. Do they get any pushback on it? Why don't you want these people to have their unemployment money?
Right.
Well, I mean, again, they don't never have to face that tough question. And when they do, they look as shocked as Nancy Pelosi.
Which is what they've done since the beginning of this, we should point out. I mean, the very first coronavirus stimulus package, they were the ones who were stalling it, trying to get all of their pet projects and climate change stuff and everything put in there before they gave relief to the American people.
And the Republicans are totally screwed here. They have absolutely nowhere to go. If the Democrats can just say, nah, okay, well, you're not going to do these 15 things we want. Okay, bye-bye. And they'll sit back and watch the economy collapse right before a presidential election. Who's that going to hurt? Not them. It's going to hurt him. And so that's why Republicans are folding on this stuff instantly. Politically, and again, this is not principles, but politically, they have absolutely nowhere to go. The Democrats have all the power here because they can literally put anything in there. And if Mitch McConnell says no to it, then they don't get this bill and tons of people are unemployed. The economy there's just not enough in the economy right now to keep these numbers where they are. I think that we overlook it. This has been a bad time for the economy. Millions of people have lost their jobs. The fact that we're at Dow 27,000 right now is a lot to do with the fact that we're printing and spending money. If we stop doing it, it will not be there. And if Donald Trump wants to try to get elected in November with 19,000 or 18,000 on the Dow, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder. Nancy Pelosi knows this, so she's just going to, why would she give in? She obviously doesn't care about the actual people.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with it. So she's going to hold him. I mean, they're either going to get lots of goodies or they're not going to give in. And, it's a lose-lose for Republicans right now.
Do you agree, Pat?
Yeah, I also think that Republicans have kind of, to a certain extent, put themselves in this situation because they've caved in so many times, and they've become Democrats on spending. There's one person really, and it's Rand Paul, who ever pushes back against any of this spending, and they've completely thrown fiscal conservatism right out the window. It's gone.
Where do you think the average American would fall on this?
They probably want more.
You think they would?
Yeah, I think so. And, right now you can kind of justify it because it was the government that forced the shutdowns, that forced people into this financial position.
Right.
So it's kind of their responsibility now to help.
Right. I mean, up until what point, though? You got to wonder.
It's going to be impossible to get rid of this before this election.
It is.
It is. After that, then we're going to kind of try to figure it out. But until then, we're spending.
Yeah. All right. Back in a minute.
As much as we bitch about it, it's just there's just no way these guys are going to have them there.
All right, yesterday's poll was, what will Joe Biden say next? You had the options of something racist, something crazy, or something creepy. And all of the above won, because you guys couldn't pick. Who knows if it's going to be something racist, crazy, or creepy coming out of Joe Biden's mouth next.
I look at this as a big win for the Biden campaign, largely because something creepy finished last place. So he's really gotten that under control now.
That's a great point.
Hair in a while.
Well, we're social distancing, so.
But it's still all of the above, which
it's going to be obviously it's going to be partially creepy. The point is though, they don't think he's going to sniff the hair of an 11-year-old next, which is a real win for the Biden campaign.
Oh my gosh, sad but true. Today's question, who do you want to see run in 2024? Why are we asking this question? Can we please just get through November 1st? Josh Hawley, Nikki Haley, Kristi Noem, or Dan Crenshaw? Do you guys have any?
I'd probably lean Noem right now out of that group.
I love her.
Yeah, I like her. She seems great. I mean,
which I'm usually a non-woman president advocate. I do not want my presidents to be women, but I like her.
The biggest sexists against women are always women.
My wife is like that too.
No women presidents. It would be horrible for the country.
Yeah, I like her. I mean, Crenshaw I like too. Holly and who was the last one?
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley. I mean, I like aspects of all of them.
Yeah.
Noem, I haven't seen anything I disagree with yet. So the other ones, Holly, to me is a little bit of a different branch of Republican conservatism than I am. But Noem seems would probably be my pick.
Yeah. What do you think, Pat?
I think Noem is a really good package. She's got the policy, she's got the look, she's got she can really communicate well with people. But I love Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah.
The guy is awesome, and he really knows what he's talking about.